Hey guys, Liz Steelton here, the host of the Blogger Breakthrough Summit. And originally, this session was going to be taught by someone else. There was a little bit of a snafu with that content, but I thought it was a great session idea, and I didn't want to just cut it. And that's when I realized that I actually had done a video on this very topic a while back, in terms of how, it's about a 20-minute video, and it really goes through how I managed to create 2 free courses, and that includes videos and text, in a day. I think it took me like 6 hours, and I recorded myself throughout the day explaining what I was doing and sharing it, and I do look tired. And part of that is because creating that much content is mentally exhausting, okay? So when you're going to do something like this, and Trina Little has a great session in terms of creating all your video content for a month in 8 hours, and I think it's kind of the same principle applies. It's great, you can create the content for the month, but you need to kind of make sure you're blocking out the mental time and energy necessary to do so. So like I wouldn't do this 2 days in a row. I do maybe create the content, and then the next day, yes, you're obviously going to have to get work done, but maybe make it work that doesn't require quite as much mental energy. For me, that's like Pinterest stuff because it's kind of second nature to me. I know what I'm doing. Maybe for you, it's something else that is just super easy and you don't have to think that hard to do it. But create that content, do that deep dive, and it is, draining, but you'll get a lot done, and then make sure the next day you're planning something that's less draining. So I'm gonna go ahead and share with you that video next, and then I'll come back.
I'm going to be doing some free courses. They're not email courses because they're actually going to be on my website, but free course, the same idea where people sign up with their email. So I want to do a free list building course that just goes over what I found has been working best and things I wish I'd done from the beginning in building my list, because it's been pretty consistent for me in sort of getting subscribers every single day, especially since I don't have tons of traffic. So I'm probably going to redo these pages as well, but that's not on my to-do list today. And then here's sort of links to those courses. So again, I need to get those courses done and those landing pages, and then each of these courses will need a landing page to allow people to sign up. So that's what's on my to-do list today that I'm going to try to get done, as well as the rest of this page. This page isn't quite done, actually. So we're going to see if my sort of quick content creation skills can be applied to sort of creating these courses and other content besides blog posts. So let me go ahead and show you. I've got sort of a rough outline of these courses already. Let me go ahead and just open up a Google Doc, because I'm going to dictate some of the information, but I already know what the lesson titles and what their focus is going to be. So this is just the really basic starting a blog course. So I'm going to just put that at the top, just quickly outline everything. So I always like to start with an outline. Able to go to Google Docs here and open it up so that I can dictate. Yep, here it is. So when I open up Google Docs, I have to hit the little blue editing thing to start. And then I just hit the cursor under the paragraph I want, hit the microphone. And I'll start off by saying that you don't have to buy your domain and hosting at the same company. You certainly can, but if you end up changing hosting later on, you're going to end up pointing your domain anyway. So it's really, you may as well save money now if it's cheaper to go with different companies, period. Next paragraph. So that was a really long sentence, and it's still recording. But you get the idea of adding punctuation, period. And then changing paragraphs if you need to by just saying next paragraph. And it moves down. I'll have to delete this later, but you get the idea. So that's kind of what I do. Heading to doesn't work. It just, we'll type it in there. It doesn't actually change it. So you can use punctuation like period, comma, exclamation point, question mark, and next paragraph, but next sentence doesn't, oops, see, and it stops. Next sentence doesn't work, neither does saying space. So just keep that in mind, and I don't know how much you can see this, but hopefully that helps a little bit. So I will be working on getting the content for these spoken out. I'm gonna stop this so I have less to delete, and I will time myself, see how long it takes. My goal is to get everything, including this little redesign, done today. Alright guys, so I'm back from my walk. I managed to talk out content for the first email course and the first 2 lessons of the second. And then the only other thing I've done so far is I just went through and I sort of marked, changed the text to headings so that I could find them in this outline on the side. So this is what it looks like unedited. It's, I promise you, not great, because I'm not very clear in my pronunciation a lot of times, so there's definitely a lot of junk in here that's going to be thrown out and edited out, I think. So let's just look at what the word count was. So about 4,500 words. A lot of it's going to be edited out, like I said. So this just gives you an idea. Like, you can tell I don't break stuff up well. There's definitely stuff in here that's going to need new periods. There's wrong words. But I wrote down the time I started my walk, 11:15. And then I finished sort of talking out the content or ideas for this first free course in a little under 30 minutes. So where's the end of the course? I know I can use the thing. I can't scroll right now. Okay, so I finished the talk through at 11:42. So 11:15 to 11:42. And then I managed to talk out 2 lessons worth of the second free course. So from 11:42 until, I think I talked for like 12 minutes. I put the end time here. So these first 2 lessons, yeah, so 11:54, so 12 minutes. So 4,500 words, and again, it's going to need a lot of editing and fixing up, and I always do recommend trying to get your editing done somewhat close to when you did your dictation, because, like I said, there's some completely wrong words. It put in, like, beans when I said themes. So my favorite, like, wrong word so far has been tons. The word was tons, and they changed it to huns, like Attila the Hun. That was a funny one. But you're just going to remember more of what you meant if you do the editing closer to when you talked it out. And normally I would finish all the dictation before I started editing, but my phone needs to charge, so I'm going to go ahead and work on editing the first free course content, because, that's just one course, and then I'll work on dictating the rest of the second free course, and then I'll go through that editing. And I'm not going to record that whole process because it's tedious. I'm hoping in the first part when I was setting this up, I can sort of fast forward that for you guys. We'll see. But I just want to give you an idea of what it looks like after I talk it through. It is a mess. There's like wrong spacing and stuff, but it's way easier to work with something on the page where even if it's done in a totally horrible way of run-on sentences, you've expressed what you're wanting to get across. And so I find it's always easier to work with something on a page than it is to stare at a blank page, which is why I like dictating, and how it sort of helps me speed up the process. So I will be back. I'll turn the video back on as soon as I get everything edited, and I'll share how long it takes me to dictate the rest, and I will keep track of how long it takes me to edit. So I'm starting editing. It's 12:23 p.m. All right, I'll be back. All right, guys, it is 10:25 at night, and I have finished editing all the content. So after that first dictation thing, I think I had about 4,500 words. After my second one, and having done some editing, so I'd already edited out some, it was over 8,000. And my total word count for the day of these two courses is 7,400. And the editing time included creating screenshots and some short tutorial videos. So I will tally up my total time editing, which I think was, I'd have to double check, but I think it was about 2 hours per course. So total dictating time was about an hour, and then a total of about 4 hours of editing. And so that's about 5 hours, and I still have to input this into my website before it's done. But you might be wondering, why did it take all day to do 5 hours worth of work? So first of all, let me show you kind of what all my editing looks like. You can see I've got all my links to other websites included. The only thing not included here are affiliate links, which I'll do when I input it into my site, so that's why it'll take a little extra time as well. So you can see everything. It ended up being about 26 pages, so a lot of content. And part of the reason it takes so long is this is mentally exhausting, right? Just talking out 8,000 words, even if you talk quick like I do and you do it in an hour, is exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. So you have to take decent sized breaks, and then editing 8,000 words and creating tutorials and screenshots is also very mentally exhausting. So you have to take breaks, because staring at your computer screen not making any progress is a waste of your time. So after I did a bit of editing, I went and I did some errands related to the holidays. I did a little more editing. Once my brain got tired, I went and made dinner. I spent some time just watching an episode of TV just to give my mind a break, hanging out with my dog, playing with her, so you can take productive breaks where, you're doing something productive away from your computer, which I highly recommend. You can fold your email or do some dishes. Sorry, I'm watching to see what my dog has in her mouth. And then you can take just full on, you go watch an episode of The Crown or something, just a real, complete break where you're not doing anything, because this is exhausting. So I'm going to go ahead and time how long it takes me to input this stuff into my site, and then I will have the final numbers of how much time it took me to do all this today. I did do it all today. I don't think I'm going to quite get all my redesign stuff done, but we'll see. It depends on how long it takes me to input the course content into the courses on my website. So I will be back in just a bit. All right, guys. I am going to do a quick video of inputting my course content into my website. It is late. The only reason it's taking me this long is when I tried to do it before. I already did do one course. The videos, I should have exported them to YouTube when I was doing editing instead of waiting until I was trying to input it into my site, and then it took too long, and then it crashed the program, and I had to restart that. So that's why it took so long and why I haven't posted this video yet. It did give me time to work on redesign stuff. I didn't finish, and I'm going to finish that stuff tomorrow, but I am going to get this course done. I'm going to head on over. I've got my videos ready for this one. I ended up doing 6 tutorials in total, 3 for each course. So let me go ahead and input the content for this one, and we're going to make it super fast. Okay, so I now have set up 2 free courses within my website. So this is the email list one. So I can start the course, and then I just can go through each lesson. It shows where I'm at. Awesome. Perfect. Okay, so that's it, guys. It took a little longer because of a couple of technical difficulties, but overall, I mean, I was able to input, once the videos were set up, I was able to input the courses into the website. It took maybe 10 to 15 minutes each. So overall total time for 7,300 words, 6 quick video tutorials, I think it was like 4 total screenshots, in one day took about 5 hours and like 40 minutes of like active actually doing stuff. And that's not too shabby. Like I said, it is mentally exhausting, so you will want to take lots of breaks. So this is why it might actually take a couple different days to get all this work done if you do just a couple hours each day, but at the end you'll have a lot of content created. So hopefully this video helps.
That video was a little bit older. I think it may have actually been one of the first videos I made. I didn't make it for my blog, so that really hasn't been seen by a lot of people. I did, I think, give my subscribers an inside look to it like a couple of years ago. I actually originally made it for a mastermind group I was a part of. We had this rule in our mastermind that we, like, each month we took turns of, you had to go in and share a strategy or something that was helping you in your business, which I thought was a great thing to do for a mastermind group. I'm not in that particular group anymore, but I think it's a great kind of lesson if you're looking to start a mastermind group of ways to structure it. And while in that video I was talking about creating free courses, which you could totally do because, you know, the amount of content you need to create as a blogger is never ending. But it could absolutely, and this, I do use that same sort of strategy and system to create blog content. And it takes some planning, right? And that's where these other sessions on, you know, keyword research and SEO and creating an editorial calendar can be so helpful. So what I'll typically do when I'm doing blog content, which is a little bit different than what I was doing here, is I'll open a Google Doc, so same thing, right? And I'll outline like 7 or 8 posts, like a lot. And then, you know, take my dog for a walk or whatever, walk on a treadmill, hold up my phone, dictate out the post using the outline because it just helps with my train of thought and everything. And it might be I do that a couple times to get through all 8. And then I'll go, you know, and I'll maybe work on editing between, but I tend to kind of, the post for the month I have in a single Google Doc rather than having to switch back and forth to a bunch of different Google Docs. I just will title it like January posts will be the title of the Google Doc. And, you know, I'll outline a post and I'll do page break, you know, and I make sure that I use headings and stuff so I can navigate the Google Doc. And, you know, just using that talk to text. I mean, you can use dictation tools, absolutely. Another thing I've done in the past is recorded a video, like say this, and then I've gone to Temi, T-E-M-I, and had it transcribed and then kind of formulate a blog post from there. And so I've done that also, and that's worked really well. Temi is kind of cheaper, but it's not quite as good as like Rev. It's actually the same company. So Rev, there's an actual person going in and transcribing and make sure it's right. Temi is like computer, and it was 10 cents, I think it's 25 cents a word, which is actually still not that bad because if you talk fast like I do, you know, like 10 minutes is, what was that? $3? Not even like $2.50. So, you know, it's pretty cheap and it can save you a lot of time of typing out if you're, you know, you don't like the talk to text or it doesn't work well for you. So it's kind of the same idea though of, because I talk better than I write personally. I was a math major. I'm a writer, I know, but technically, but I don't, my like kind of identifier isn't necessarily as a writer. So, you know, outline, come up with a plan, come up with a content calendar, editorial calendar, whatever you want to call it, content plan, outline, dictate, edit, clean up. And that's going to be what takes the most time, is editing, cleaning it up, because that's when you're going in, you're making sure you're hitting those SEO goals that you have for the post, that you're covering everything. You're probably going to end up expanding on something that you talked about. You're going to be putting in links and creating graphics, although I would recommend, again, you'd tell I like being efficient with my time, the Magic Pin Generator, which is free. You'll find it in the perks section of the summit. It's a freebie I created, and what it does is you enter like 10 titles, but you could learn how to create your own generator. Set up 10 titles into a form, and you click a button, and then it sends you a Google Slides thing, which is like Google's version of PowerPoint. But I've done it so that it's pin-sized images, and it's 50 pins so 5 for each post. And then you can always, like, obviously you get editing rights, but you can always then make a copy and then change the page size if you will need to create a featured image or something. So I like using graphics generators I've created to kind of just help save a step. I think Canva's great. I love Canva. It does a lot of awesome things, but doesn't let me systemize in the way that using Google products does right now. And I do that for free. I don't like pay, like I use Google Forms, Google Sheets, and Google Slides to make all that work, and free tools. So definitely check out the Magic Pen Generator, because you can use the generator over and over again. And there's also like an opportunity if you want to get a course after you sign up. That's like, if you want to learn how to create your own generator, buy the course. So that's also an option. But yeah, so I try to kind of systemize and batch things as much as possible, whether it's graphics or creating content, but the outline, record one way or another, edit, clean up, and then putting it all together. So I tend to batch in those steps, and doing it like that saves me a lot of time, but helps me produce, like, I can produce a lot of content in a week if I do that. Like if I make just 1 week my content creation week, I could probably create 2 months worth of content. And, I don't do anything else that week, and then I have 3 weeks to do other stuff, so it just kind of depends on what works for you and your schedule and how you like to batch and make things work. Sometimes your lifestyle doesn't support that kind of workload or that kind of batching. My life's changed a lot this last year, and so especially with client, like I can't just spend a week doing content creation. I wish to dream a dream. I want to go on a vacation and just create content somewhere. But, but knowing I can batch and kind of in the back of my head that, I've got that Google Doc open, I can go in when I have time and, access it on my phone. Love using, pretty much everyone has a smartphone. Chances are you can get Google Docs or whatever, if it's an iPhone, whatever document system you use, chances are you can figure out a way to access it on your phone. If not, then you might need to switch and start using one you can access on your phone, so that when you've got 10 minutes waiting to pick your kid up from school, or waiting for the groceries to load up in the car, or, whatever, you're stuck in line somewhere, you can type away. You can dictate. I mean, when you dictate, you can be multitasking. You can be cleaning. You can, I often take my dog for a walk. She loves it. Do the dishes, really, whatever's going to work best for you. So hopefully this session was helpful. Hopefully you are going to just create a ton of content. I look forward to seeing it. And we'll see you guys at the next session.